Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual public informational meeting for state project number 38-87, replacement of bridge number 4642 in the town of Eastford. This is a live event today, and following the presentation will be a live Q&A, and there is some contact information shown below. If you'd like to use closed captions and subtitles in Zoom, you can go down to the bottom of the frame where it says Show Captions, click the speaking language, and select the language you would like from the list shown. Closed captioning, including English translation option, non-English translation options, are available on YouTube after the event. So a quick overview for tonight's goals are to have some quick housekeeping, followed by a formal presentation of the design, which will explain the existing conditions and define the project purpose and need, as well as the team's proposed recommendations. Following that, there'll be a live Q&A to take any questions that you may have. I'll now read this slide on Title VI, Civil Rights. No person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. We highly encourage you to fill out the voluntary post-meeting survey located at the QR code and hyperlink shown. There's also a hyperlink to the Department's Office of Equity Title VI page. And a recording of this presentation will be posted to CTDOT's YouTube channel after the event, and closed captioning, including non-English translation options, are also available on Zoom and YouTube following the live event. Here's another slide. I won't read this entirety on Title VI, Notice to the Public. Also in Spanish. During the Q&A session, you can select the Q&A tool at the bottom of the Zoom webinar window. That will then open up a pop-up window to the screen on your right. You can then type in your question on the text box and click Enter. If you're an audio-only participant, please dial *9 to raise and lower your hand. You can also reach out to us by email at dot-flbp@ct.gov, by phone at 860-594-2020, which is a monitored voicemail line. So if you do that, please reference project 0038-0087 in your voicemail. And you can also reach out to us during the live Q&A. You can also check the project webpage at the link shown. The comment period is open for the next 2 weeks. So even though the Zoom Q&A is only open for tonight, you can reach out to us for the next 2 weeks for any questions that you may have. This project is funded through the Federal Local Bridge Program's Design Managed by State, or DMS program. In the past, towns were responsible for a 20% town match, and there was an 80% federal reimbursement for design, rights-of-way, and construction. In the DMS program, design, rights-of-way, and construction phases are funded with a minimum of 80% federal and a maximum of 20% state funds. Design, rights-of-way, and construction phases are at no out-of-pocket cost to the town. And even though the department is taking on the design on behalf of the town, it is still a full partnership, and we coordinate with the town at key project milestones. The goals of DMS were to provide a streamlined approach to design using DOT resources, to aid the towns in keeping their bridges in a state of good repair by effective use of funds, decrease typical design time from 48 to 60 months to 24 to 36 months. When applicable, utilize accelerated bridge construction or ABC techniques to shorten construction duration and to increase the number of municipal projects delivered to construction each year. I'll now quick turn over to Deb Richards, First Selectman, for some opening remarks. Deb? I'm not sure if Deb's on or is muted, but.
Yeah, I was muted.
Okay. No problem.
I'll go again. Welcome, everyone, to the presentation of the replacement Bull Colony Road Bridge over Bungee Brook. The town of Eastford is once again partnering with the Connecticut Department of Transportation and CHA Consulting on this important bridge replacement project. They have consistently demonstrated their expertise, professionalism, and commitment to collaboration. And I'm grateful for their guidance as we work together on our second bridge replacement project.
Thank you, Deb.
Onward.
Representing the Department of Transportation project team is Derek Lassard, Division Chief of Bridges, Greg Funk, Principal Engineer, and Mark Burns, Project Manager, Michelle Rain, Project Engineer, and representing the Office of Rightsway is Zachary Garino. Representing Clough Harbor and Associates, or CHA, are Anand Seshadri, CLE Team Leader, Stephanie Dubina, Project Engineer, Jeff LeMay, Highway Specialist, and Olin Mather, Hydraulic Specialist. This is a quick slide showing the general key structural elements of a bridge. The driving or wearing surface is otherwise known as the deck, which is where you'll drive, bike, or walk on, preventing those vehicles and pedestrians from roadside hazards will be the parapets. Supporting the parapets and deck is the bridge superstructure, which in this case is made out of steel beams in the diagram. Supporting the superstructure are the abutments, otherwise known as the substructure. And depending on the length of the bridge, there may be one or multiple piers. And then wing walls act as a methods of earth retention. Bridges are inspected by the department on a biennial basis and are given an evaluation rating of key elements from a 1 to 9, with 9 being in excellent condition and 1 being in imminent failure. But at any point if the bridge inspection team finds a critical finding, they will alert the town to take corrective action as soon as possible. These are just some examples of various concrete deterioration. Efflorescence is a chemical reaction that causes that white substance that you see. Honeycombing is a result of improper concrete setting, which then when the forms are released, you'll have that spalling as shown there. Scaling, it happens more on the wearing surface as water gets into the concrete and then causes that surface cracking. Map cracking is a similar situation as scaling, and then spalling is the worst condition from honeycombing where the concrete has come off completely and is exposing the reinforcing steel. I'll now turn it over to Steph for the formal presentation. Steph?
Thank you, Mark. So as Mark mentioned, today we're discussing state project number 0038-0087. It's the replacement of bridge number 04642 in the town of Eastford. As a resident of Eastford myself, I'm excited to share this project with you, and I look forward to infrastructure projects that will improve our lives on a daily basis. This is our project location map with a detailed aerial showing the area of the bridge and around the bridge. Bridge 04642 is in the center of the map, and you'll see Old Colony Road travels from west to east. Bungee Brook flows from north to south below the roadway in the bridge. The Paw Safe Animal rescue business is located southeast of the bridge in this area here. And there are residential houses further east and west of the bridge. As you'll see, there are open fields surrounding the bridge, both upstream and downstream of the bridge. This property highlighted in pink here is where the Sumner Carpenter House is located. That house is on the National Register of Historic Places. So that's a significant feature for this project. And highlighted in orange, we have properties both upstream and downstream that are protected by Joshua's Trust conservation easements. Old Colony Road is classified as a rural collector. The roadway width at the bridge is 26 feet, 1 inch. And the approach roadway is 23 feet, so it's a little more narrow as you approach the bridge. The average daily traffic count for this bridge and this roadway here is 949 vehicles per day, and that's based on recent traffic count analysis that was completed. The posted speed limit over the roadway here is 35 miles per hour, while the 85th percentile speed limit is 43 miles per hour. The design speed based on the Connecticut DOT Highway Design Manual is 40 miles per hour. This bridge was constructed in 1933, making it 93 years old. It was rehabilitated in 1970, and the bridge was widened at that time. The bridge has a total span length of 45 feet, and that includes two 22.5-foot spans. The bridge has a reinforced concrete slab deck with pre-stressed concrete deck units on each of the bridge's fascia, both upstream and downstream. The substructure is a reinforced concrete abutments with a reinforced concrete center pier and flared wing walls that are set on spread footings founded on soil as their foundation. Looking at the existing hydraulic data for this bridge, the bridge is set in a 16.1 square mile watershed. And with that size watershed, its hydraulic criteria is based on a 100-year design storm. Going to the clear span of the bridge is the distance from abutment to abutment. And in this case, the distance from the abutment to the pier and then the pier to the other abutment. So the clear span for this bridge is 38 feet. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers best management practices recommends that the clear span of a bridge be 1.2 times the bank full width. The bank full width of a stream or a brook is the distance from stream bank to stream bank. So in other words, the span of the bridge should be 20% larger than that span of the from bank to bank. In this case, 1.2 times bank full width is 48 feet, which is less than the 38-foot clear span that the bridge has today. Moving down to the underclearance of the bridge. The underclearance of the bridge is the difference between the 100-year design storm and the low chord elevation of the bridge. The low chord elevation of the bridge is the bottom of the bridge's deck. In this photo here, you'll see that the 100-year design storm is in this blue dashed line, and the bottom of the deck is below that line. That means that for this particular bridge, the underclearance is negative 3.1 feet, which is significantly less than the 2-foot recommended standard. Similarly, the freeboard of a bridge is the difference between that 100-year design storm elevation, again highlighted with the blue dashed line, and the lowest point of the roadway. At this site, the lowest point of the roadway is approximately 50 feet to the east of the bridge. For this site, freeboard is negative 9/10 of a feet. So again, it is less than the 1-foot minimum standard. Next on our list here is the backwater elevation. The backwater is the measurement of how much water backs up because of a bridge crossing. The desired criteria for the water surface elevation during a 100-year storm is to increase less than 1 foot when compared to natural conditions if the bridge was not there. The existing backwater elevation at this site is a positive 2.5 feet. So it is significantly greater than the 1-foot maximum standard recommended for this site. And our final criteria related to hydraulics as part of this project is the scour critical rating. This is the susceptibility of the bridge's foundation to be undermined during a large storm event. So this bridge has a spread footings founded on soil, which are identified to be scour critical. So if there's the potential, if there's a large storm event, that the footings, the soil around the footings could be washed away. And ultimately, this is one of the primary reasons this project was taken on. As Mark mentioned earlier, bridges are inspected every 2 years by the Connecticut DOT, and a bridge inspection report is written. This table here summarizes the latest bridge inspection report that was completed by the DOT in September of 2024. As you'll see in the red boxes, the deck, superstructure, and substructure are all rated to be in satisfactory condition. One thing we'd like to note about the concrete deck is that it was built during the original construction in 1933, and in 1970, when the bridge was rehabilitated, 2 3-foot wide by 1 foot deep pre-stressed concrete deck units were added to the fascias of both the upstream and downstream side of the bridge. They were extended over the existing wing walls and tied into the existing pier. This work created the 26-foot 1-inch wide roadway that is present over the bridge today. One other thing we'd like to note about this table are the bridge railings and the guide railings that are highlighted in orange. While they're in satisfactory and very good condition, they do not currently meet current safety standards, so that is an issue that would be addressed with this project. And finally, to note, while there are no weight restrictions currently posted on this bridge, based on the most recent load rating analysis completed by the Connecticut DOT, the HL93 inventory rating is less than the 1.0 standard. The next few slides are some site photos of the bridge and the surrounding areas. So this top left photo shows the north upstream elevation view of the bridge. And this top right photo shows the south downstream elevation view of the bridge. This bottom left photo shows the bridge from the east approach. And this bottom right photo shows the bridge from the west approach. This arrow points to the overhead utilities that run on the north side of the bridge. This top left photo shows deck spalling at the bridge's northeast fascia. And this top right photo shows the west abutment and the underside of the deck. This bottom left photo shows some scale that exists on the underside of the deck. And this bottom right photo shows that there is some spall in the deck at the northeast fascia of the bridge at the pre-stressed concrete deck unit. This top left photo shows the center pier from the downstream view. You'll see that there's some spall here at the pier cap and some vegetation growing. This top right photo shows the bridge rail and the overlay condition on the roadway. This top left photo is the field that's located upstream of the bridge and is protected by the Joshua Trust Conservation Easement. And this bottom right photo shows the dry hydrant located near the southeast wing wall. This top left photo is a photo of the Sumner Carpenter House, the National Register of Historic Places house I mentioned in the first slide. It was built in 1806, and it's located approximately 75 feet west of the limits of the roadway reconstruction. This top right photo shows some deep Connecticut DEP signage located near the bridge regarding trout fishing. And this bottom left photo shows the upstream channel of Bungee Brook looking north. And this bottom right photo shows the downstream channel of Bungee Brook looking south. This project was initiated address the deficiencies of the bridge. There are five primary concerns for this bridge. One, the load rating inventory rating is less than the 1.0 standard. And two, the bridge rails and approach rails do not meet current safety standards. The oh, I'm sorry, I switched. We also have to eliminate the scour condition rating of the bridge, improve the hydraulic performance of the bridge. And ultimately, this bridge has surpassed its 75-year service life, so we'd like to address that as well. Based on the deficiencies of the bridge, we recommend that the proposed rehabilitation be the full bridge replacement at this site. The proposed bridge for the Old Colony Road is a single span pre-stressed concrete deck unit bridge. It would be 57.5 feet long, and this is an example photo from a similar site, would eliminate that center pier for better flow of Bungee Brook and the prevention of debris catching on that pier. This bridge would carry AASHTO design legal permit vehicle loads and have no weight restrictions. It would provide a 75-year service life with minimal maintenance, and it would have a 26-foot wide roadway with two 11-foot travel lanes and two 2-foot shoulders. The bridge will have an open bridge rail system to meet current safety standards, and the bridge will have pile foundations designed for scour to eliminate any scour critical conditions. And finally, there would be a great improvement to the hydraulic conditions of the bridge. Looking at some details on the aesthetics of the proposed bridge, form liner simulating stone masonry would be applied to any exposed areas of the concrete, including the wing walls and the end blocks. The bridge rail will be metallized at the town's preference for color, most likely dark brown. This is a cross-sectional view of our proposed pre-stressed concrete deck unit bridge. You'll see, as I mentioned earlier, it will have two 11-foot travel lanes and the two 2-foot shoulders, providing a curb-to-curb width of 26 feet. There is the 3-tube curb-mounted bridge rail attached to both sides of the roadway. And the roadway will be supported by asphalt and a 6-inch cast-in-place concrete deck with 7 3-foot wide and 2 4-foot wide by 18-inch deep pre-stressed concrete deck units, as shown at the bottom of this diagram. This is a proposed bridge plan for the site. Again, to orient you, north is pointing up and slightly to the left. The orange represents the pre-stressed concrete deck unit bridge, and the white outline here represents the existing bridge. So this proposed bridge is 57.5 feet long. So that's a considerable difference from the existing 45-foot long bridge. Again, it will provide two 11-foot travel lanes and two 2-foot shoulders. Yellow represents the Old Colony roadway, which will be reconstructed, and we'll show that in more detail in an upcoming slide. The bright green on the edges of the roadway are the regrading to support the roadway itself. The dark gray on the 4 corners of the bridge are the proposed wing walls. We have flared wing walls on the tops and U-shaped wing walls on the bottom. The pink lines are representative of the approach guide rails to protect along the roadway. And let's see, this light gray area and blue areas on all 4 corners represent riprap to provide bank stabilization for the channel, which is the Bungee Brook highlighted in the turquoise. And In between those riprap areas, we have two 5-foot riparian shelves that are used for wildlife, wildlife I want to say transportation, wildlife movement below the bridge. Um, this is a proposed south elevation view of the bridge. Again, here's our pre-stressed concrete deck unit in orange. It's 57.5 feet long, which is quite a bit longer than the 45-foot bridge that exists. There is no center pier at this proposed bridge. The pink areas on either side represent the guide rails at the bridge's approaches. And the bridge is supported by this dark gray substructure and the micropiles socketed to bedrock to prevent scour critical rating in the future. And these light gray areas represent the riprap to support bank stabilization. And of course, the turquoise represents the Bungee Brook itself. The riparian shelves for animal access below the bridge are in these green areas below. And to look at the improvements to the hydraulics of this site, again, the underclearance with this bridge will be a positive 0.8 of a foot. So while it does not meet the current 2-foot standard, it's much improved from the existing negative 3.1 feet. The freeboard will be improved to a positive 1.9 feet, again improved and meeting standard. And finally, the backwater elevation when compared to natural conditions will be a positive 0.7 of a foot. Again, a great improvement in meeting the current standards. This is a roadway plan showing the limits of the roadway work and reconstruction at the site. Again, north is pointing up and slightly to the left. We have the bridge itself in orange, Old Colony Road in yellow, with approximately 890 feet of roadway, full depth roadway reconstruction. We are proposing some drainage improvements on the southeast driveway of the where the Paw Safe Animal business is, and there's some driveway reconstruction at that site, as well as the two driveways on this northern property. And in this bright blue shaded area, this is proposed a vegetation removal along the curve to improve sight line distances as you approach the Schoolhouse Hill Road. This is our proposed roadway profile for this site. Another way that the hydraulics is being improved is, and the geometry of the roadway is to increase the roadway slightly by 2 feet. It will gradually increase along the roadway until you reach the bridge. So this will also help to improve the hydraulics of the site. So the proposed work will be done with the use of a detour. Here in this diagram here, you'll see that the bridge, it will be closed during construction, and a 3.8-mile detour is proposed. It'll utilize Old Colony Road, Schoolhouse Hill Road, Route 244, and Route 198. We've also highlighted here the location of the Eastford Independent Fire Company number 1 to show its location near the detour and the bridge itself, to initiate coordination with the fire department for this project. Reviewing utility impacts, as I previously noted, there are some overhead utilities located north of the bridge, and these will have to be temporarily or permanently relocated a little further to the north to provide construction access and during the project. And utilities will be maintained throughout the project. Looking at the historical and conservation impacts, an archaeological survey of this area and the surrounding the bridge is proposed. That work will likely take place this fall, and notices will be sent to abutting landowners and the Joshua's Trust to let them know when that work will take place. We'd also like to note there is a small amount of regrading proposed at the southeast corner of the National Register of Historic Places house property. And this will be just to be regrade the driveway adjacent to the property, just to the east. And finally, we have initiated coordination with the Joshua's Trust, so that work will continue with them. Looking at environmental impacts, this photo shows those the tall vegetation that is proposed to be removed along the roadway within the town's right of way to improve the sight lines. There are some temporary and permanent wetland and watercourse impacts with the replacement of this bridge, and temporary water handling is required to maintain the stream flow. Best management practices for aquifer protection, fish and wildlife will be maintained throughout construction. Anticipated permits for this project is the Town of Eastford Inland Wetland and Watercourse Permit, Flood Management Certification, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers pre-construction notification. So this is the same plan that I showed a few slides ago. It's just zoomed in slightly to show that highlight some of the rights of way impacts to private properties around the bridge. This red dashed line represents property lines and the Town of Eastford right-of-way lines. So any work being done from this line inward towards the roadway is within the town's right-of-way. As I noted earlier, this driveway for Paw Safe Animal business will require a drainage rights of way easement to reconstruct the drainage pipe below the driveway. It's a 21-inch RCP pipe, and some regrading on this driveway as well to match the newer elevation of the roadway in this location. And these two driveways here will also have a little bit of regrading and reconstruction work, again, due to the elevation work on the roadside to match that. This southern property will have a right to install erosion and sediment control systems in a small area. And some of these areas in the bright green here will require permanent slope easements to support the roadway on either side of the road. And this orange dashed line represents a temporary construction easement for the construction of the bridge itself and for the relocation of the utility lines, which is that black line in between the red and the orange area. I'm now going to pass it over to Zach from the Division of Rights of Way.
Yeah, thanks, Steph. My name is Zach Arino. I'm a project coordinator with the Department's Division of Rights of Way, and our office is responsible for acquiring the property rights that are needed for the project. And as Steph mentioned in the presentation, this project will require the acquisition of property rights. So I'd like to give a brief overview of our acquisition process. I'd like to mention the specific impacts are still being finalized and they may change as the design progresses, and that any required property rights will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes sections 13A73 and 13A98E, as well as the Uniform Act. You can change this slide. So the right-of-way acquisition process begins once the design has progressed to a development milestone and all the impacts have been determined. At this point, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with a property map which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. And on the screen here is an example of a property map that an owner may receive. Shows the existing conditions as well as the proposed improvements to the property. Our office will then determine the fair market value of those property rights which were depicted on the map and it'll be used to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner and explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and explain how the state arrived at its offer. The property owner will be given a reasonable amount of time to consider the state's offer and enter negotiations. When an agreement is reached, the department will prepare all the necessary paperwork to record the deed and property map on the town land records. However, if agreement cannot be reached, in order to keep on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights to its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the state's offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt that the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money deposited in the court is available to be withdrawn by the owner. If any questions regarding the right-of-way acquisition process, I can answer them after the presentation. With that, I'm going to hand back to Steph. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Looking at the project schedule, this project is initiated to go under construction in the spring of 2028, and this is subject to funding, rights of way, and permit approvals. The construction duration for this project is anticipated to be 1 construction season or 8 months. As of now, the preliminary design cost estimate for construction is $5,268,000. As Mark mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, that will use 80% federal funds and 20% state funds, with ultimately no cost to the town. This is under a reimbursement program, so the construction cost will be reimbursed during the months of construction from the state back to the town of Eastford. And we'd also like to mention that the cost and schedule are preliminary and subject to change. Okay. Michelle, I think that wraps up my portion of the presentation.
Thanks, Stephanie. So thank you everyone for joining us for tonight's public information meeting. I'd like to thank Stephanie for her presentation and walking us through the details of the project. I also want to extend our appreciation to Town Selectwoman Deb Richard for her endorsement of the project and her support of our team. As a reminder, the public info comment period is open through Tuesday, August 11th. We encourage you to share your feedback. We're now opening the Q&A portion of the meeting, and you can submit your questions using the Q&A function located at the bottom of your screen. We currently don't have any questions, but while we wait for anything to come in, I just want to reiterate the ways you can send your questions in. So you can send them in by the chat while we're waiting right now. You can also send them to our email at dot-flbp@ct.gov or by phone at 860-594-2020. Leave us a voicemail, and in your voicemail, please reference project number 0038-0087 in your voicemail. And we'll just give it a few minutes and see if we have any questions come in. We do have a hand raised. All right, I'm going to allow Diane to talk. I'm going to give you a second. Hold on. Diane, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Should be able to unmute. Can you hear us, Diane? Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to be asking questions. The chat is disabled and one question.
Sorry, we can't hear you. Can you repeat that?
The chat is disabled and won't allow us to post a question.
Let me just double check this real quick. Doesn't seem to be disabled. So you might have to go to the bottom of your screen and click more. It just might not be popping up at the bottom of your screen, but while you're up here, you can ask your question.
So my wife and her Diane were the property owners for Fawcett Animal Rescue. My concern was just to the east where there's a main driveway and roadway. Currently there's, I don't call it a ditch there. So some lines where they're filling in that and regrading it. And that ditch has been an ongoing problem where we've had cars go off the road there and get stuck and hung up on that corner. Drops up so sharply.
I'm sorry,
Um,
I'm having a bit of a hard time hearing you. Are you close to your microphone?
I am. How about now? Is that better?
Can everybody hear him?
Yes, now, yes.
Okay, sorry about
Okay.
that.
No,
I'm,
you're okay. Go
I'm
ahead.
referencing the area to the east of the driveway improvements to the Fawcett Family Rescue entrance. So right now, that's a ditch that drops deeply off the roadway and then almost immediately rises again, which is not shown where that purple ends. We've had several cars drive off there and get towed out over the last couple of years. And I hope that that could be that pipe that they're going to replace under the driveway, extend farther to the east a little bit to, because we're either regrading that, coming back up on the other side, although it doesn't show the lines in this map. Because by raising that, we think it would exacerbate the challenge of coming off the driveway there, making the corner.
Okay. Let's see.
And then I guess I'll ask my second question while I'm at it. In the presentation, the dry hydrant was shown, and that wasn't mentioned anymore farther on. Is that going to be maintained?
The dry hydrant, the dry hydrant. I'm sorry.
Correct. The
Yes,
dry hydrant is shown in the original
Yep.
and mentioned, but in the new design seems to have gone away.
Hi,
Somebody from
Michelle.
CHA. Go ahead.
Yeah, Michelle, this is hi, this is Jeff from CHA.
Thanks, Jeff.
Sure, I can answer both of these questions. The
Perfect.
dry hydrant will absolutely be maintained. If it's not shown on this plan, it's certainly documented, and when this goes into final design, that dry hydrant will be replaced. To kind of address the first question that you had, I'm not 100% sure I understood the question, but it sounded like there was some flooding issues with that culvert under the driveway. And there were some vehicles that seemed like either routinely or several times had gone off the road into that lower area. Right now on the plan, we do have some improvements to that culvert, and it's more related to extending it just because of the amount that we're raising the road in that area. It's good that you mentioned that, and that's kind of what this format is for, to kind of flush out any issues that are not obvious. So when this goes to design or final design, we'll make a note that that culvert under the driveway has to be evaluated, and if it's clogged, it'll be cleaned. If it's damaged, it'll be repaired. So we certainly want to walk away from this project with the drainage in this area operating as good as it can. So I hope I addressed that question.
Largely, thank you for the clarity. It wasn't a flooding concern as much as it's the bank right now is very steep. And basically the culvert was functionally way too short already. And just what the concern was that it was extended with that keeping in mind. I know you guys are engineering it. I actually talked to the wetlands guy at one point about getting a permit to extend it a couple of years ago and didn't get to it. So that was just my concern there on that east bank.
Yeah, so it's more pulling out of the driveway onto the main road, that bank there.
Correct. Taking a right, the bank drops off. If you're coming out of the driveway and taking a right now, that's where people have gotten hung up.
Yeah.
And I see you're raising it and grading it, but it's already a considerable problem. So
Okay. Well, appreciate the comment. We'll definitely take that into consideration. There are wetlands in this area. You know, we are extending that culvert to push that slope out a bit. These are state and federal wetlands, so we have to kind of balance how much we can fill with, you know, the amount of impacts. But knowing that there's an issue there, it's good. We can, you know, work on that during design.
thank you.
The Q&A function should be located at the bottom of your screen. If you can't see it, you might be able to click the three little dots that say more, and the Q&A should pop up and you'll be able to punch your question in there. Well, let's see. We only have a couple people in here. Go ahead.
Can I ask another question?
Go right ahead.
Looks like I figured out a time, but we're concerned about access to the driveway. Where is the construction equipment going to stage? Obviously, past that driveway is going to be an effect on the public entry process.
Michelle, I can take another shot at this one.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, sure. We don't typically lay out staging areas or lay down areas at this stage in the game. What'll generally happen is the contractor will use the available space within the right of way to put his equipment, and he generally tries to avoid things like wetlands or let's say if there's residential properties, you don't want to stage equipment on residential properties. You don't want to stage equipment where you're going to impede sight distance for people traveling on the road. So the contractor will generally use what's available within the right of way with some restrictions.
Just to add on to what Jeff mentioned, for the general concern for the property access will always be maintained during the construction of the project. So there'll always be a way to access your property through your driveway.
Thank you both. He has no further questions. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. I just see you listed under Diane. So thank you both for your questions. Okay. As of now, we have no further questions. So I just want to again remind everybody that the public comment period is open through Tuesday, August 11th, 2026. You can submit your questions, comments, or concerns in any of the following ways. By email at dot.flbp@ct.gov or by phone at 860-594-2020. Please leave us a voicemail. Please remember to reference project number 0038-0087 in your voicemail. We also encourage you to complete our voluntary survey following this presentation. Your feedback helps us improve virtual public info meetings. Excuse me. The link to the survey will be provided for you. I'm just going to send it in our chat. With that, I don't see any more questions coming in. So I will wrap up the meeting for tonight. Thank you all for taking the time to join us. Have a great evening, and please be safe in the rain tomorrow. Take care.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.